Welcome back to The Lighting Plan. On today's episode, we meet Aron Sanchez-Baranda, a wildlife cinematographer working in Southern California. The Lighting Plan is made possible by GVN.
My name is Aron Sanchez-Baranda, and welcome to The Lighting Plan. Today, I'm going to be talking about marine life cinematography. I enjoy coming out here and filming and photographing the animals, not so much as biology lesson or scientific mission. I just come out to enjoy the form and the color, and the sound of the ocean. It's a peaceful place, it's a meditative place, and that's kind of what I enjoy about it foremost, is finding images and colors and motion that I find, that I find resonates with me, that I find interesting, that I find captivating. One thing that's become, apparent and unavoidable coming out here is seeing the decline in marine life, season after season, year after year. I'm consistently seeing less animals. I'm seeing less algae and vegetation even, which a lot of animals use for their homes and for breeding. Being out here over time has made it glaringly obvious that the environment is changing, climate change is real. I've been fortunate that conservation organizations and other concerns have taken an interest in my work, and that's allowed me in kind of a roundabout way to contribute to those kinds of efforts and raise awareness. So something that lighting has increasingly allowed me to do is move my work more in the direction of where it's really inspired from. I'm a frustrated painter. Most of my artistic inspiration, at least initially, came from painting. Lighting lets me move towards the things and references that really move and drive my work. The Dutch masters are a big influence on me. Techniques like chiaroscuro and things like that. I try to move my photography in that kind of a direction, and lighting has really opened that up for me. It's let me control color, it's let me control ambient lighting and direct lighting in ways that, really help me make a composition that resonates with my intention and my interest. Lighting has become an indispensable tool for making that, for realizing that. So in these tide pools, there's a number of animals, all over the place. There's a lot of color, a lot of saturation that I want to make sure that I get. I like to shoot, around 22, maybe even, a little higher if I can get away with it. And for that, I want to make sure that I have the depth of field that I need. I want to make sure I get the detail with my macro shots, which is primarily what I shoot in around here. I like this spot for a few reasons. Primarily, it lets the subject have access to water, which is, of course, very important for a marine animal. There's shade, which is great. It keeps the animal from drying out and getting stressed out. And it also gives me, a really nice setting to work with my own lighting. I have an angle I like right now, and set the depth of field that I'm interested in. Get my ISO to just let me look at the scene for now, and then we'll bring in our own lighting to see what makes sense. Where's my own lighting? There's my own lighting. And I like the PD60C. It gives me control over the light that I need in kind of these, changing conditions. It gives me the depth of field that I want. One thing that I love, if possible, when working with a light is something that's water resistant. working near the ocean, I'm constantly dealing with spray, saltwater spray, condensation, fog, and having something that even is just a little bit water resistant, huge difference. It's a total lifesaver. I have lost many an LED light because eventually it just can't handle the environment. This is gonna look great. The colors are looking great right now. So I'm not shooting a time lapse. I'm basically filming this animal. They do move pretty slowly, but what I do for quite a bit of my cinematography work is I will come in and draw time automation. With some of these animals, you'll get really quick movements and then really, really slow movements. So to give you an overview of what's happening here, I have our subject, the California Sea Hare, here in the shade of this rock, which helps keep the animal relaxed, keeps it out of direct sunlight. And for the light, I'm using the PD60C, which gives me a good spotlight, gives me the depth of field that I need to be able to shoot this animal, and it causes the reflective sparkle, if you like, that I'm trying to get off the animal's skin, which is very important to me in this shot. I'm shooting at 4K and using a 100mm macro lens, and the PD60C is a huge help here. It pretty much lets me take sunlight wherever I need it, position it safely and quickly on the subject without, dragging out the process, which is very important when dealing with live animals. Yeah, so I'm filmed him in one position for about 4 or 5 minutes, and now I'm gonna change the angle on my tripod and my camera to let him kind of continue to move naturally. So let's take a look here. So something that's come up when people have seen my work is what looks like a sparkle effect. People have asked if it's a filter. They've asked if I've done something in post to manipulate the way that the light is reflecting and refracting and making these kinds of starburst patterns. But it's all natural. It just comes from the angle that I'm shooting at and the nature of the animal's skin. And just experience with shots like these. This animal lives in a tide pool, and part of the time during the day it's exposed, normally it'd be in the water, to prevent itself from getting eaten by, say, a bird or another predator like that. The animal produces an ink that is bright purple and very, very unpleasant to taste. Things went well. We found a great subject, the California Sea Hare. He was conveniently positioned in a great area to shoot him in. Great light, cooperative animal. It was a great shot today. I hope you learned something about marine cinematography. If you'd like to contact me, my work can be seen on my Instagram, which is called @waterbod, or through my website, www.aronsanchez.com. Thanks for watching.